In old age, what I wish I knew before decluttering my home. Have you ever opened a closet or a dusty old box and felt like you were stepping into a time machine? Suddenly, you're surrounded by memories, some sweet, some bittersweet, and an overwhelming sense of, where do I even start? If that sounds familiar, you're not alone. Today, I want to share 10 heartfelt lessons I learned while decluttering my home after decades of collecting, keeping, and holding on just in case. And let me tell you, tip number 7 completely changed the way I see sentimental items. Stick around because it might change your life too. If you enjoy this video, hit like and comment with a loving number 2. And if you think we can do better, drop a heart and comment number 7 so we can improve in future videos. Thank you. Don't forget to subscribe to After 7080 for more inspiring content about healthy, joyful living after 60. Let's create a space that brings you peace, clarity, and freedom, starting today. Lesson 1. Your kids don't want your stuff, and that's okay. Let's face it, one of the hardest pills to swallow when decluttering is realizing that your kids probably don't want your stuff. I learned this the hard way. I had a beautiful oak dining table that had hosted countless holiday dinners and birthday parties. It was scratched, worn, and full of memories. When I mentioned passing it down to my daughter, I expected her to light up with excitement. Instead, she hesitated, smiled awkwardly, and said, "Mom, I love that table, but it just doesn't fit in my apartment." That moment hit me like a ton of bricks. She wasn't rejecting the memories we shared around that table. She was simply being honest about her lifestyle and space. And you know what? That's okay. It made me realize something important. Our kids cherish the memories, not necessarily the objects tied to them. They want to remember the laughter, the stories, and the warmth, not the physical table. So here's a question for you. What's one item in your home that you're holding on to, hoping your kids will want someday? Go ahead and share it in the comments below. You might be surprised to find that it's the memories, not the things, that mean the most. Now, here's a tip that gave me peace of mind. Ask your kids directly about specific items before assuming they'll want them. Their answers might surprise you, and it can actually free you from the guilt of holding on to things you no longer need. And if they don't want it, consider passing it along to someone who does. There's a certain joy in knowing that your treasured pieces can find new life in someone else's home. Mini hook. Have you ever asked your kids about an item you thought they'd cherish, only to hear them politely decline? What did you do next? Share your story below, and let's keep the conversation going. Lesson 2. Sentimental items aren't always meant to stay. Sentimental items have a way of holding us captive. I once kept an old jewelry box my father gave me when I was a teenager. It was scratched, slightly broken, but every time I looked at it, I remembered him standing there, smiling as I unwrapped it. Letting it go felt impossible until I realized the memory wasn't in the box. It was in my heart. So I took a picture of it, thanked it for the memories, and passed it on to someone who could actually use it. And guess what? The memory didn't fade. In fact, it felt lighter, more joyful, because I wasn't carrying the weight of guilt anymore. What about you? Is there something in your home you're holding on to because it feels too sentimental to part with? Share your story in the comments. I'd love to hear how you're managing your sentimental treasures. Here's my tip: take photos, keep the memories, and let the clutter go. Because sentimental items are meant to remind us of the past, not hold us back from living fully in the present. Mini hook. What's one sentimental item you've struggled to let go of? Did you keep it, repurpose it, or finally say goodbye? Share your story below, and let's inspire each other. Lesson 3. Decluttering is a marathon, not a sprint. When I first started decluttering, I thought I had to tackle everything in one weekend. Big mistake. I ended up exhausted, frustrated, and surrounded by half-filled boxes. That's when I realized decluttering isn't a race, it's a journey. And like any journey, it's best taken one step at a time. I started small, a single drawer, one shelf, or just 10 minutes a day. And you know what? Those little wins added up. Before I knew it, I could actually see the progress. And more importantly, I felt it. My home felt lighter. And so did I. So here's my advice: don't overwhelm yourself. Start with one small area and celebrate each success. What's one spot in your home you've been avoiding? Share it in the comments. And let's inspire each other to take that first step. Remember, decluttering isn't about speed. It's about consistency. One drawer today, one closet tomorrow. It all adds up to a home that feels more peaceful and a life that feels more free. Lesson 4. Mistakes are part of the process, and that's okay. I remember standing over a donation box, holding a sweater I hadn't worn in years. It didn't fit, and honestly, it wasn't my style anymore. But as I hesitated, I couldn't shake the thought, what if I regret letting it go? The truth is, decluttering comes with doubts. And yes, sometimes you might second-guess yourself, but here's what I've learned. Mistakes are part of the process. I've let go of things I later wished I'd kept, but I've also gained something far more valuable: peace of mind and space to breathe. If you're unsure, try this: create a maybe box. Pack up the items you're not ready to part with and set them aside for a few months. Chances are, you won't even miss them. And if you do, you can always pull them back out. What's one item you've struggled to let go of? Share your story in the comments. We've all been there, and your experience might help someone else. Remember, decluttering isn't about perfection. It's about progress. Mistakes? They're just stepping stones to a lighter, more joyful life. Lesson 5. Guilt doesn't belong in your closet. I used to hold on to things out of guilt: gifts I never used, clothes I never wore, and expensive gadgets that felt like wasted money. Every time I saw them, they weren't just clutter. They were reminders of regret. Then one day, I asked myself, was keeping them actually fixing the guilt? Or was it just keeping me stuck? That's when I decided to let go. I donated what I didn't need, sold what I could, and allowed myself to move forward. And you know what? The guilt disappeared faster than the clutter. Here's my tip: don't let guilt control what stays in your home. Think of it this way: the money is already spent, but the lesson it taught you is priceless. Now it's time to give that item a second life with someone who will actually use it. What's one thing you've been holding on to because of guilt? Share your story in the comments. Lesson 6. Selling can turn clutter into cash. I'll never forget selling my old dining set. It had been sitting in storage for years, too big for my downsized home, but too sentimental to let go. Finally, I listed it online, and within days, a young couple showed up, thrilled to give it a new home. Watching them load it up, I felt something unexpected: not loss, but relief. And the extra cash? That was just a bonus. Selling your unused items isn't just practical, it's empowering. It turns clutter into opportunity. Whether it's furniture, clothes, or collectibles, there's someone out there looking for what you no longer need. And knowing your things are wanted and valued by someone else makes letting go so much easier. Have you ever sold something that brought more joy to someone else than it did to you? Share your experience in the comments. I'd love to hear how it felt to see your clutter start a new chapter. And let's talk about how freeing it feels to finally let go. Lesson 7. Don't buy storage containers until you declutter. I used to think organizing meant buying bins, baskets, and fancy storage boxes. So I stocked up, convinced they'd magically solve my clutter problem. But guess what? Those containers just became more clutter. They didn't fix the mess. I was simply rearranging it. That's when I learned the golden rule: declutter first, organize later. Once I let go of what I didn't need, I realized I didn't need nearly as many containers as I thought. And the ones I did buy, they actually fit my space and served a purpose. If you've ever bought storage bins only to leave them empty, you're not alone. Share your story in the comments. I'd love to hear what lessons you've learned along the way. Remember, a clutter-free home doesn't start with buying more stuff. It starts with letting go. Lesson 8. Memories are in your heart, not in your things. For years, I kept boxes of my kids' artwork, birthday cards, and souvenirs from family vacations. Every piece felt like a chapter in our story. But as the boxes piled up, so did my anxiety. Was I honoring the memories or just hoarding them? That's when I made a shift. I photographed the keepsakes, created a digital album, and kept only a few truly special items to display. The rest, I let go. And you know what? The memories didn't disappear. If anything, They became clearer because I wasn't buried under the clutter. Think about it. Are you holding on to things because you're afraid of forgetting? Share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear how you're preserving memories without holding on to everything. Remember, memories don't live in objects. They live in the moments that made them. Lesson 9. Make room for joy, not clutter. I'll never forget the day I cleared out my hall closet. It was packed so tightly I could barely close the door. Shoes I hadn't worn in years, jackets that didn't fit, and boxes I hadn't opened since we moved in. When I finally emptied it, the space felt bigger, like the house could finally breathe. And so could I. Decluttering isn't just about creating physical space. It's about making room for what truly matters: peace, simplicity, and joy. When we clear out the excess, we create space for meaningful moments. Whether it's hosting friends without stress or simply relaxing in a clutter-free home, what's one space in your home that's begging for breathing room? Share in the comments. I'd love to hear where you're starting and how it feels to make space for joy again. Remember, less clutter means more room to live the life you truly love. Lesson 10. Decluttering can spread happiness. I used to think decluttering was just about making my home look better, but then something unexpected happened. I saw how much joy it brought to others. I donated my old winter coats to a shelter, and a week later, I got a thank you note from someone who said the coat kept her warm during a tough time. That moment changed everything for me. Letting go doesn't mean losing. It means giving your belongings a new purpose and letting someone else create memories with them. Whether it's donating furniture, books, or clothes, knowing your items are helping others can make decluttering feel less like a chore and more like an act of kindness. Have you ever given something away that made someone else's day? Share your story in the comments. I'd love to hear how your clutter turned into someone else's treasure. Remember, decluttering isn't just about freeing up space. It's about spreading joy, one item at a time. Decluttering isn't just about clearing out closets. It's about clearing space for what truly matters. It's about creating room for peace, joy, and memories that don't depend on things. Along the way, we learn to let go of guilt, embrace change, and rediscover the freedom that comes with living simply. Thank you so much for watching today's video. If this inspired you to start your own decluttering journey, let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts and stories. Don't forget to like, share, and hit that subscribe button to join our growing community here at After 7080. Together, we'll continue exploring ways to live a lighter, more meaningful life, one step at a time. See you in the next video.